Rotarians and guests, welcome to the Rotary Club of York, where our mission is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and service. I am your club president, Aaron Jacobs, and it is a great day to be a Rotarian. That means it's also a great day to live out service above self and abide by the four-way test. Will you join me? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Now that we have our strategic goals announced and in place, my goal is to familiarize our club with our new mission in the same way that we have familiarized ourselves with the four-way test. After all, a club without a mission is indicative of a community full of missed opportunities. So let's make certain that the community that needs us the most feels the power of nearly 300 Rotarians that are ready to serve. And speaking of outstanding true Rotarians, I got three great ones over here to get this meeting started. Leanne Wilson, photographer extraordinaire, will lead us in God Bless America, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Our invocation will be delivered by Eric Chase, and guests will be introduced by Michael Hahn. Leanne.
Rotarians and guests, please join me in God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rotarians, will you prepare yourself in the way you're most accustomed for prayer? Creator God, we come before you, and we have humble beginnings in our agricultural society in this world. In the old times, it was the farms and the farmers that not only provided for our food, but for our daily livelihood. In this world of modern agriculture, we ask for blessings on our speaker, who will share with us the advances in urban agriculture and the importance of agriculture to this York community. We know that it's through agriculture that we get the food that have benefited us today, that nourishes our bodies, and it fulfills us so that we continue to serve above ourselves. And we lift all these things up and give gratitude for those that prepare and serve our food. And it's in the many names that we call you, and we say amen.
I'm pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Aaron has welcomed you. John Hopcraft, guest of Jeff Vermeulen. Nicole Schaefer and Cherie McFadden, guest of Jules Tolbert. John Sherwood, guest of Thomas Caltagirone. Dave Yon, guest of Bob Borden. Casey French, guest of Jane Schuessler. Leanthony Ragusa, guest of Teresa Gregory. And Ryan Riley, guest of our speaker.
I said a few moments ago that a club without a mission is indicative of a community of missed opportunities. I would also tell you that a club without visitors is indicative of missed opportunities for new members. Not that I'm here to put any of you on the spot, but the amount of guests that we get is a way of our members saying that we have something great here at our club to share. Otherwise, they wouldn't have invited you. The food is awesome. The program will be stellar. And these members make it worth it every week. So don't miss the opportunity to be a member of our club and join us in our mission to serve our community. Rotarians, let us welcome our guests today. I have a fair amount of announcements to roll through here. Well, look at that. I bring greetings from President-elect Courtney Piccolo, who is attending the Rotary International Convention in Singapore. And look who's also there, past President Rob Bowen. Courtney and Rob also met up with fellow Rotarians in attendance from District 7390. And I just want to add on a personal note how proud I am to see our club representing in the International Convention again. And we all look forward to Courtney's return with great stories and fresh ideas. In other related news to the RI convention, our hearts do go out to the RI director for zones 28 and 32, Drew Kessler and his wife, Vicky, and their 2 children. I don't know if you had heard, but their Singapore airline flight encountered severe turbulence en route to the convention. As I understand it, 1 person did die and 100 were injured, but both Drew and Vicky did survive, but require back and neck surgery from Bangkok due to their injuries. So please keep them in your prayers and thoughts and wish them a full, speedy recovery. On to more membership-related news. Hey, there's Fred Minnick. This is pretty neat. The membership committee would like to recognize Fred Minnick for his 65th years, not of age, but of membership in our club. Great time to applause, gang. Fred joined our club on June 3rd, 1959. And while Fred is only the 4th oldest member of our club at the age of 91, he is our longest tenured member. Congratulations, Fred, and thank you for being a valued member of the Rotary Club of York. On to committee news. The York Rotary Foundation Board will meet today at 1:30 in the wine room here at the Country Club of York. The membership committee will meet on Monday, June 3rd at 4 p.m. via Zoom and or live at Fox 43. This just in, I made an allusion at the beginning of our program about an extraordinary photographer amongst us, Leanne Wilson, who here got their Rotary magazine this month. And actually look at it. Well, now you have a reason to. Leanne, please share the good news with our club.
So when you look at it, go to the centerfold, and my photo from Bryce Canyon is in the middle. It was last year that I was flipping through and saw that they have this photo awards and asked for submissions. There were 856 submissions for this contest, and they put 14 of the photos in the magazine. So quite honored. Erin asked me just to give you some background on the picture. I do actually have my laptop. If anyone wants to see it afterwards, I can show you. But for those that don't know, although I frequently talk about this, my family and I are working on all the national parks. We are at 52. Bryce Canyon was number 50. And it's an international dark sky, which I love to experience. So that night at 2:30, I was up to see the Milky Way and then got right back up at 6:20 to see the sunrise and took this amazing photo that is now featured. So, and we'll be done with the parks if all goes to plan next year. We're doing Hawaii, American Samoa this year, and Alaska next year. So, and then we'll be done. That's it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Out of 856 photos, 14 were chosen, which is strange because I submitted 842 pictures of myself to this magazine, but yours is just a little bit nicer. On to another announcement, a repeat of last week. For the past few years, the Lancaster Rotary Club and the Rotary Club of York have taken turns hosting each other in a Revs versus Barnstormers baseball game. This year, it's our turn to host and our turn to win. I have it in good authority that past President Al Sykes has been giving pitching lessons to the Lancaster Barnstormers. And well, we know how that usually ends. That's why the Revs will win. The date is July 2nd Food is starting at 6. The game time is 6:30. We will be joined by members of the Lancaster Rotary Club. So come out to the York Hospitality and cheer for the Revs. The cost is $39, but we want you to round up to 50 so we can make a contribution to the fight against polio. See, please, past President Al Sykes, and don't tell him about that joke. Speaking of the Revs, Eric Menzer asked me to share that the Revs denim cap is back in stock, which is apparently the preferred style of Revs hat for at least one, if not more, of our Rotarians. I say that because one of our members lost such a hat. But I am told that if you come to the game on July 2nd or sooner, Cindy will have one for the poor Rotarian who is wandering around the baseball game totally hatless. Who was that? See, nobody's taking credit for it. Anyway, get your hat, go Revs, and go Rotary. And now I'd like to invite Debbie Ashwood to the podium to take the President's Challenge, where I invite committee chairs to the podium to challenge all of our members to learn more about our committees and show support. I'm pleased at how our committees have been able to grow through this program, bringing on new committee members while working on new ideas. So Debbie, let's talk to the group about the Student Education Committee. Debbie.
The Student Education Committee oversees the York Rotary Foundation student education programs for post-secondary education students, including York Rotary scholarships. The committee acts as liaisons to high schools and colleges and technical trade schools and the York community. The committee seeks, creates, manages, and conducts opportunities to recognize York Rotary student scholarship awardees at club and community. That's the what you're going to see on the website. So this is what we do. January through March, we contact the schools. May, we attend the high school award ceremonies. And July, we act as host for the Rotary lunch meetings. So once the awards have been allocated, committee members can attend the high school award ceremonies to present the scholarship from Rotary. This is an excellent way to promote Rotary. In fact, last week I presented a scholarship to a student from Logos Academy, and he was so excited. It was very heartwarming. On the Student Education Committee, we happen to have David Christensen, the Chancellor of Penn State York, Andrew Barnes, Dean of the School of Arts, Communication and Global Studies, Michael Lowe, CEO of York Academy, and Fred Rosamiller, who has created the Rosamiller Family Scholarship. But you don't have to be a dean or a chancellor to be on the Student Education Committee. What we're looking for are passionate people who want to help students further their education by helping to get the word out that these scholarships are available. We need Rotarians to present the scholarships at award ceremonies and host the students at our Rotarian lunches. What our club can do to help is to get the word out that these scholarships are available. The Student Education Committee is already targeting the high schools, but you can go to our website and review all of the York Rotary scholarships and start thinking of who you might know who might be eligible for the scholarship when the time comes. The window to apply is January through March. We will have flyers to make things very easy for you in January with all the information needed on how to apply. The non-traditional scholarship has been especially difficult to find applicants. So, for example, if you know anybody who's left high school for another job and is now deciding to go back to college, or a single mom or a single dad wanting to pursue college, or a veteran, please direct them to fill out an application. We have money to give.
Thank you, Debbie, and your committee for all the great work we do. It's so great that we can serve students and other members of our community in needs, and you are the vessel to do that. Help that committee out. They're doing great things, and you can too. And now I'd like to invite Martin Fedorko to the podium to announce our program today. Martin.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Eric Darr and Ian Kansky. First, Dr. Eric Darr serves as the president of Harrisburg University of Science and Technology. Under his leadership, the university has expanded with a Philadelphia location increased enrollment to over 6,000, and launched new programs and centers. Dr. Darr, with a background in teaching and publishing on organizational learning and technology management, has consulted for over 20 multinational corporations. Dr. Darr's commitment to advancing agriculture and technology was recently demonstrated through his leadership of a University and Commonwealth of Pennsylvania-led mission to the Netherlands. This mission, conducted in collaboration with Ian Kansky, who we'll hear more from in a second, was a testament to Dr. Darr's dedication to pushing the boundaries of agricultural innovation. Before joining HU, Dr. Darr was Chief Operating Officer at Knowledge Planet, Inc. and led Ernst & Young's Knowledge Management Consulting Services. He holds degrees from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and Carnegie Mellon University, where he studied under Nobel laureate Herbert Simon. Ian Kansky is an entrepreneur focused on economic and environmental sustainability through beneficial technologies. He is the executive director of the Center for Advanced Agriculture and Sustainability at HU and co-founder of INTAG, which develops biological systems for regenerative agriculture. He is also most recently the interim executive director of the Breda River Collective. That'll have to be part 2 at some point. We'll have to have you back. He was the chairman of the Farm Tech Society in Brussels, an international nonprofit for advanced greenhouses and indoor farming. Over 20 years, Ian has led business and community development projects in North America, Europe, West Africa, Central America, and South Pacific. Ranked number 57 in the 2022 PA Agriculture Power 100 by City and State PA Magazine, he served on Cornell University's Industry Advisory Board for USDA-funded greenhouse agriculture curriculum and been contacted by the U.S. Department of Energy for his expertise in controlled environment agriculture. Ian will support Dr. Darr as he delves into the university's significant growth and expansion in advanced agriculture. He will provide updates on the exciting developments, including a new urban greenhouse in downtown York and strategic partnerships with the York Fairgrounds. These initiatives in collaboration with leading Dutch agriculture technology firms are poised to catapult York and Pennsylvania to the forefront of agriculture technology. On a personal note, it has been an absolute pleasure to work with Ian and Dr. Darr over the past few years. And what this sort of collaboration brings from a regional standpoint, I think is just truly special for York and for the region. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage from HU, Dr. Eric Darr.
Thanks very much, Rotarians. Martin, thank you very much for that great welcome. If you got anything from my introduction, it would be what my mother, with the way she talks about me to my friends is, here's my son, Eric, he can't hold a job. Which means, you know, I've done a lot of things in my life that I think have prepared me for the role of president of Harrisburg University. But, you know, mothers, they keep you humble, correct? Right? So it's terrific. But I'm very pleased to be here today to talk a little bit initially about Harrisburg University, who we are, what we're about, and why we're in York. Yes, we have Harrisburg in our name, but we're here and dedicated to what we're doing here in York. So I thought I would talk a little bit about that and then have Ian come up and talk specifically about the project in Center City, York, and then a few words about perhaps a potentially much bigger opportunity here in York as well. So look at that. Instructions on how to use the clicker, it worked. So Harrisburg University, we are a brand new in the scheme of higher education, Institute of Higher Education. That means we have had students for 20 years. The idea for the university came about. Chamber of Commerce in the Harrisburg region did a survey of businesses across the region at the turn of the century, 1999 into 2000. What would be good for central Pennsylvania? And they looked at things like transportation and land use and tax structure. Education was one of the topics that was looked at. And it was noted that Harrisburg was the largest capital in the United States that did not have its own four-year university. And all you need to do is travel to any major city in the United States to see the impact of a university over a period of time benefiting that particular community, that city. Yes, there are parts of Penn State that are out by the airport, 24 miles away. There are the administrative were the administrative offices of the Pennsylvania state system, but not a four-year university right down in Center City. So that was part one. Part two, we have a lot of great universities around us. right? Pennsylvania, one of the two Commonwealths, three Commonwealths in the United States. We have more universities than anybody other than Massachusetts. Every little town has its own university. That's just historically what's happened, right? So lots of great, very old universities, 150, 200, in Penn's case, 350 years old, bit of a head start on us. Mostly dedicated to liberal arts. Nobody really dedicated to hardcore science and technology. You have to go to Pittsburgh or you have to go to Philadelphia to get that, right? So you couple those two things, that's really what led to the creation of Harrisburg University. And as Martin said, I was running a technology business at the time, and the mayor of the city of Harrisburg, anybody knows Steve Reed or knew Steve Reed, right? Mayor for 27 years. Good, bad, or indifferent, ran the city a lot like his own private monopoly board, and I scraped together a few $1 million to hire 6, I'll call them thoughtful, so others might call us crazy, people to think about what would be a new university in today's world. And there was nobody alive at the time that knew how to found a nonprofit, comprehensive university from the ground up. The one before us was Carnegie Tech, now Carnegie Mellon, 90 years before us. So there were no statutes, no laws, no about how you create a new university. So not only did we build a new university, we built the laws about how to do that at the time. So that was 2001, 2002. That led to our first students in 2005. We had 73 students. We called them the Pioneer Class for good reason. So today, 6,000-ish degree-seeking students. If you add the non-degree students that we educate, we'll probably educate close to 10,000 students, both degree and non-degree students this year. I will note that that includes 2,000 dual enrolled students. Those are students that are still in high school, but take college classes from us. That's 2,000 students across 55 school districts. Most of the districts here in York County participate with us in the dual enrollment program. To me, dual enrollment is an amazing opportunity for students, young people to, at a very discounted price, achieve college credits, accelerate their time to a degree. And in many cases, they are taken into a university in a very direct way rather than AP courses. My son had more AP courses than the University of Pittsburgh took in, and they took in many as electives, which is okay, but he still had to take core courses and retake things that he had taken in high school. By taking college courses, you avoid that particular problem with AP courses. So we're very philosophically proud to offer so much dual enrollment, so much opportunity for students in high school to take college classes while they are in high school. The kind of what have we been up to lately? Which is a few years ago, 5-6 years ago, made a commitment that healthcare and manufacturing, critical industries for the state of Pennsylvania. And historically, the university, HU, had not been in those particular industries. We made the commitment that we were going to move substantially and significantly into healthcare and into manufacturing. At the time, we didn't have any space. We were out of space. So we also, can't go rent an advanced manufacturing, 3D printing, or 5-axis milling machine lab just down the street. So we had to scrape together, sold bonds during the height of the pandemic, and last January of 23, opened a $110 million facility in Center City, Harrisburg, 2 blocks from our first building. And that the new one is dedicated to healthcare and advanced manufacturing. So we're thrilled about that new opportunity for our students. I think there's a couple pictures right there about, that's the new building. That's what the inside of the new building looks like. And that's what the robots and the advanced manufacturing part of what we do looks like. We've come at healthcare and manufacturing from our historic strengths. information technology, technology broadly construed, data analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity. So you think bringing technology and data analytics to bear in healthcare, right? We see that as patients, we see that in our health systems, we see the advancement of healthcare taking advantage of those two things. You see the same thing in manufacturing, the intersection of technology and analytics to improve the operations of factories, the automation of machines, the ability to rapidly prototype and go from idea to production in a much, much quicker time than we could historically have ever done, in really interesting ways with materials, again, that have not been available to us historically, in the kinds of manufacturing processes that existed for hundreds of years. So we're now doing that same thing in agriculture. We're bringing together technology and data analytics to the service of agriculture. And if you think about the pillar industries of Pennsylvania, healthcare, manufacturing, and agriculture, right? As a university here in Pennsylvania dedicated to the betterment of the Commonwealth, those are the industries you should pay attention to, right? So that's what we're now doing. And that's the commitment around agriculture. So the opportunity here in York, I will say, you should all pat yourselves on the back. Ideally, I would have liked to have taken the opportunity to build the first center or a research facility or something that was right down the street in Center City, Harrisburg. Could not get the community together, couldn't get enough support, couldn't get enough interest, didn't understand the importance of agriculture. You scratch your head and go, how do you not quite get that? That is really understood at an amazingly deep and rooted level here in the city of York. The community has come together to support the project that you're about to hear about in an amazing way. The commitment to the project, and then beyond just the first project, but the willingness and the ability to think more broadly about other opportunities for this new version of agriculture that blends technology and analytics. It has really been eye-opening for me. So we are, Harrisburg University, committed to be here and to work with you, the community here in York, to make this possible and to bring controlled environment agriculture to Pennsylvania, first and foremost here in York, so that the rest of Pennsylvania can see what's possible, perhaps the rest of the United States, maybe in a way that hasn't been seen before. I'll steal a little bit of Ian's thunder, but what are we doing? When my mother would ask me, what are you doing in York? Well, we're building a greenhouse where the plants themselves tell the system how to operate. There is no grower, there is no farmer, there is no, in this particular case, there is no one that operates the plants. The idea is that the plants themselves, through sensors, through artificial intelligence, tell the greenhouse how to behave. That's pretty awesome, right? The tomato plant, the strawberry plant, whatever it is, decides what it needs, when it needs it, how it needs it. That's what we're trying to do here, right? That's the vision. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ian and hear a little bit more about the details.
Thank you. Yes, it is an honor to be here against the Rotarians. Before I jump into the details, one thing that I wanted to mention, really appreciate not just the introduction by Martin, but that collaboration. And one of the things that has made my work at the Center for Advanced Agriculture, Harrisburg University's work, and the work of White Rose Ventures so compatible, and has made collaboration so easy, and finding a home for this work in York so easy, is a deep commitment to cultivating that entrepreneurial ecosystem and the belief that entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial education, and that innovation cycle is one of the most important engines that we have for not just economic growth, but the long-term resilience of our communities. So really appreciate the collaborations and the relationships that have been built around this. So very quickly, this work started with the Center for Advanced Agriculture and Sustainability within HU, and in keeping with the strategy, the mission that Dr. Darr just described, we have a series of centers led primarily by practitioners, entrepreneurs, whose focus is to engage those sectors and the outside world, and then bring the academic and education mission along with. This is the mission of the center, my center, advancing economic and environmental sustainability simultaneously in food and agriculture through applied innovation and entrepreneurial education. And advanced technology bridging that is a key piece of that equation. In keeping with that mission, but expanded, is a project we're getting ready to break ground on later this year. That is the ISOM project, the Institute for Sustainable Agriculture and Manufacturing, incubated by Harrisburg University, founded in York, and really focused on the full spectrum of agriculture to manufacturing, with a pretty substantial food processing and food manufacturing industry that York embodies quite well, right there in the middle. So the central mission of ISOM as a distinct institute is really about bridging these advanced sector technologies to Pennsylvania's most important foundational industries. These are technologies that can help to future-proof, that can to advance those sectors, those operations. But there's something deeper at work here, and that is, I think everybody's pretty familiar with the amount of talk, sensationalized language around us right now, and disruptive innovations, and often used with some, say, daunting language, or sometimes some ominous language. But the truth is, a lot of these tools, a lot of these technologies also have incredible potential to make small teams extremely competitive in new ways. The next wave and next generation of technology, we are seeing the advance of smart systems, and those smart systems are going to change things with sensing that goes beyond our 5 senses, and logic and calculations that could do work at many more, much faster than we can. But it's really about integrating those technologies and curating those technologies around people and around life systems. If there's one thing I think is most important to teach and embody learners, technology is not inherently valuable. It's only valuable to the extent that it's supporting something with inherent value. So arranging technology around life systems, I guess, would be a good theme to focus on. But regionally, this is about bridging the gap, reducing cost barriers, reducing knowledge barriers to equip our industry, our business communities, and our citizens with the knowledge of how to wield these tools. ISOM will be built in 2 phases. First and foremost, agriculture technology. We spent 2 years in intensive due diligence, meeting with agribusiness leaders and internationally studying innovation hubs around the world, some of the top innovation hubs around the world. In its second phase, it will expand to include manufacturing and a number of technologies in manufacturing. But there are certain common threads that we have seen in successful innovation centers, from Pittsburgh, which is a globally competitive ecosystem in robotics and autonomous systems, to the Netherlands that Dr. Darr mentioned. And one of those things is proximity and physical places where we can twist wrenches, demonstrate how things work, prove that they work, and also educate hands-on beyond just learning in theory. So at the core of this is really that model, things that we've learned from successful innovation systems that we've studied. We're not reinventing the wheel here, we're adapting it to our place and our community in some ways. And there is just something dynamic that happens when you put existing industry leaders into locations and into common problem solving with entrepreneurs and startups and with learners of all ages and all types. That includes existing business owners, their teams, and traditional students. The first location, heart of York. We are in the very final stages, working out the details to locate this project across from the St. John's Episcopal Church in the parking lot. I'm very excited to be locating there, and really appreciate the support and excitement we've had from them in locating this project there. Nearby, we're looking at repurposing some existing indoor real estate from the old New York Dispatch, or the Art Glass building, and actually more recently, a few other sites around where they can tuck some laboratories and other hands-on assets. Another view of the site. But what does all that why in theory look like in practice? All those components are here in this design. An urban greenhouse, controlled environment agriculture, advanced greenhouses capable of achieving springtime growing conditions all year round. And yes, as Dr. Darr mentioned, our work, we've assembled an international team of incredible talent looking to take the biggest barrier and knowledge out of the equation that could reduce the barrier to entrepreneurs, small teams, in wielding these systems and technologies, reduce that barrier by 10 to 15 years of intensive hands-on experience it takes to understand both the horticultural, biological systems and the technological. Alongside that, integrated retail. So not only to focus on the diverse types of fresh produce we can grow in that greenhouse, but to provide a channel for other very local food items. A shot from the side, the other piece that's here is dedicated spaces to continuous research and improvement, always focused on improving the efficiency, but also the environmental benefit and performance of these operations. And ultimately, because this work is enabled by funding from the state government, from private industry, and from some of York's most impactful foundations. We have great support from the Powder Mill Foundation, from the Wareheim Foundation, Gladfelter Foundation. Part of our commitment to them, to this community, is that really what we're building here is a blueprint that puts York in the forefront of proving new things and then ultimately offering that out to other communities. Sharing what's worked, what hasn't, and how to improve. A little side shot there where we are always focused on the experience, but always engaging the next generation as well to understand and to be intrigued by the opportunities here. 80 different types of produce options. And one of the things that the flexibility of growing year-round in controlled environments allows, in addition to growing without pesticides, if you can keep the pests out, you don't need the pesticides, is flexibility. So we've done great work to adapt and to supplement what's already in the community, not to compete with those already working in local and urban farming, and to supplement what's already there from the market to the other urban farming. The last note, while this is in the early stages, I think another example of immediate alignment of mission, we've announced a really exciting partnership for me with the York Agricultural Society about taking a portion of the York Fairgrounds, and really appreciated the opening prayer as well. A good reminder. I think this is a powerful opportunity. The oldest continuously operating agricultural fairgrounds in the United States. I think somebody correct me if I got that wrong in any way. But that connection of innovation to our history, our legacy is really exciting. The vision here, again, while it's in its early stages, just that story alone is already driving immense interest from industry. So I'm very optimistic that the second stage, second phase of this work will be even bigger and more exciting. But the goal here is, again, essentially to build a year-round fair in innovation in agriculture, not just in the technology, now with a bit of room provided to us by the leadership of the fairgrounds to bring in our friends in regenerative agriculture, in organic farming, and show those methods in open air and more conventional methods as well, equipped and enabled with technology. I will stop there and any questions?
So questions about the university, questions about, what are we up to more broadly, questions about the ISIM project, questions about, you know, how to better grow tomato plants. I think I'll turn you over to Jules for that, but happy to take any questions.
Hello. Thank you for the presentation and your partnership with our community. Perhaps this is an educational question, but maybe an implementation one as well. We hear a lot about AI. We hear a lot about innovation. What part does energy play in both of those things? Because to me, that's the missing link that unlocks all of this new technology going forward. Thank you.
A very important topic, and one thing there just wasn't space for in the slide deck on exactly that topic as well. This work in York has already been designated by an active project already funded and actively being deployed right now by the U.S. Department of Energy. Specifically looking at controlled environment agriculture, they've announced the National Accelerator Program because they're extremely interested in this connection between controlled environment agriculture in particular, and even more particular, the type of large-scale greenhouse production we see in the Netherlands and energy. So a lot of this work, one, is all about the food, energy, water nexus. That's also how we see it. And while, particularly in the more advanced technologies, yes, you do have a fair amount of energy consumption connected to that. What you're also doing is taking energy spread across the whole value chain and concentrating it into one place. So it's also a great opportunity to now aim energy policy at one place at one time. So it's a big topic. That's a whole category that we'd love to dig into, but there's no question we're going to be looking at energy very closely in the same way that we're looking at the agriculture. How do we show diversified multiple modes of power generation, power energy efficiency at these sites as well?
I'm excited to see that this project has a retail component and it seems to be in York City. And I'm curious, have you figured out what the cost and pricing is in a competitive range to compare to what consumers are used to paying?
As Ian said, right, the idea is to grow produce that supplements what is already here and to work with distributors of food that already work in the community of York, particularly in Center City, and to do that in a way that is cost neutral. So it's not a premium, not what you might see in stores with regard to the premiums that you pay for certain types of produce. I would say, the idea is that this is not a large scale commercial greenhouse. And so the premiums and the prices that right now, at least the way those large scale greenhouses are funded, are dictated and demanded. This is a demonstration of technology and what's possible, and to provide an educational opportunity and research opportunity. But oh, by the way, really grow some really interesting produce that supplements what's already available. And again, to make that available to the community.
We have heard for a long time, now, especially since the pandemic, though, about the struggles that colleges and universities are having to attract students to their programs, many of which are quite good, like yours is. But you've had phenomenal success. What do you attribute that success? How are you reaching students and getting them to commit?
Great opportunity, great question. And yes, unfortunately, many institutions here in Pennsylvania are struggling. I'd say it's our commitment to science and technology, particularly the way we educate science and technology. So, you can do this when you start a university 20, 25 years ago, and you're not fighting against 200 years of tradition, but that is, we are committed to hands-on experiences for our students. That is, there's no better way to learn science and technology than to literally put your hands on the technology, literally, as Ian said, turn the wrenches or interact with the robots, as the case may be. The same is true here, right? What better way to educate the community, other potential farmers, growers, business owners, and traditional students on advanced agriculture technology than to create a demonstration project where people can see, feel, touch, interact with those technologies. And I think it's that opportunity that we give to our students to learn science and technology in a way that is not taught many other places, and in topics that you would be hard pressed to find at a price point that we offer, right? Any business you're in, great products at a great price. That's a winning combination. That's what Harrisburg University has. Great products, world-class faculty at a great price. Half the price of what you might pay for a master's degree in artificial intelligence at a major university.
Hi, hey, this is a really exciting project. I'm very glad that it's coming to York and we've been able to partner with you. It kind of builds off your last point, and I'm interested to know if you have thought of ways to engage the K-12 education system in the city of York and also around the county, and how they could learn from this project.
We already work with the majority of the school districts here in the county, particularly here in the city, in providing, as I said, dual enrollment opportunities, chemistry, biology, advanced math courses. I wish I knew off the top of my head, or Ryan, I don't know why we didn't think about this. How many, students in York County attend Harrisburg University? It's a fair number, I would say, more than 100. So those relationships with the K-12 system already exist. Now we have another thing, another opportunity, another set of programs, and maybe it becomes something similar to what we do in Steelton, in Steelton High Spire School District, right outside of Harrisburg. We operate a low-tech greenhouse there, but interestingly, we also operate a hydroponics or aquaponics facility. And it's the students that are in the school district that actually manage and run that aquaponics facility with the oversight of our faculty. I think that same opportunity exists here with the school districts, particularly in the city of York, for students to become directly involved in the operations, and to take some ownership for what happens, to imagine the research projects that might get done, and to work with faculty on that opportunity. I will also say that we've had some really interesting and I think productive early conversations with York College about how to work together here on this project together as well. So it's not just K-12, but it's higher ed as well here in the city.
This is a topic where nobody really needs to hear from me after hearing from Dr. Darr, but I can't help myself from chiming in. My relationship with the university started with the company that I founded in Harrisburg. And even though that company today has research teams in Canada and the Netherlands, we started with a strong focus on education and had an incredible experience, particularly in this type of controlled environment agriculture. Without getting into the weeds, though, we built indoor growing systems as a platform for education, experiential education, in 50 public schools in 24 months during that time. And there is, that is work I've since kind of brought to HU that we are now with a much bigger team repurposing, but there's just immense potential there.
We'd be interested in hearing your views on GMO, genetically modified organisms, and what that has, what role that would play in your overall program. It's a controversial subject.
It is. Our take is, one, the technologies we're deploying here, anything that's going on here isn't really going to be focused on that topic. We're actually focused on the envelope. One thing that's notable about controlled environment agriculture, which is again the starting point in York, is you could say it's an alternative approach where you are really using the natural existing genetics of the plant and triggering that or providing a perfect environment, however you'd like. That said, genetic modification and genetics is an incredibly important area for students and learners to learn about. It's a challenging field. There, as a lot of complexity and consequence, in that area. But no matter what, our kids are going to be navigating questions, risk and, ethics wise, not just in that area, but many others that are probably beyond, our comprehension. So it's very important to learn. So we teach about those things, about the field, but we really try to stay on, on both sides of the equation, in that the industry partners that we're collaborating with, et cetera, are going to take various approaches. As I often say, we're not really focused on agriculture programs, in conventional sense, but about technology programs to serve. That might be a vague answer, but that's up to our partners and our learners, what they want to do and learn about.
To grow 80 different kinds of produce, how many, I'm assuming that's not something that you can do on a precision level, all in just one space. So like how many sub areas, how many different controlled environments do you have to do if you're going to produce 80 kinds of produce?
In this case, one. Those are 80 types that fit in this very carefully balanced, optimal climate zone. It is a very challenging thing to do. And one thing I would note about the Dutch company we're partnering with here, they are 4th generation Dutch growers, and nobody's familiar with the Netherlands. They are hands down the world leaders in advanced greenhouses. The average size of a new greenhouse facility there is, I think, 35 contiguous acres under glass. So I also like to joke that we found the only Dutch company focused on scaling down the community level. So by that scale of industry standard, this entire project is total heresy. But we're doing it because we believe that these methods can be uniquely applied with great impact, not just in urban centers, but as supplemental to the farm. All that to say, nobody would typically, anybody who's just focused on the economics is going to do a monocrop. But there's a lot of thought and science that went into how to create an optimal climate where enough of those 80 types of crops are happy enough that you can get exceptional quality year round, and also very important with really good nutritional value. But that's certainly one of the things that we'll be both innovating in and teaching about. That's a great question.
I mean, again, just to put a fine point on it, as Ian said, those 80 types of variety of produce can be grown. How many actually get grown will be determined by the market, will be determined by you. Which ones do you want? Which ones add and supplement to what you can already get? Which ones are attractive? Which ones do you like in your salads? Which ones do you not like in your salad, right? So that's part of what the community of York will dictate. While we can grow all of these things, you may not want them all, right? So
There'll probably be 5 to 7 that are actually
at
growing at any given
any
time.
time.
And just to clarify, and I have to put it as plug, there is a farmer entrepreneur, there is a team that will be in this project. It is the climate system, the most complex system that's being replaced by the technology. So at some point between now and groundbreaking, which is, we are still on track for October, November timeframe, and the commissioning of this project, we also need to find a really great talent for a really great job, and being the entrepreneur driving this greenhouse. So I just want to put that plug in for the community here as well.
Hi, Ian. So outstanding project, outstanding partners, concept. It's exciting to hear more about where the project is. And it's very interesting to see just overall in general that one of the parts of the mission for HU itself is to engage and uplift represented and underserved communities. And I know you guys have done a lot of that work in Harrisburg. So I was interested to know with the HU work period, Center for Advanced Ag, as well as ISAM, how those entities will work together to make sure that this project and the others that are going to be in downtown York are going to be able to have an effect that ripples out to the communities that go through into downtown as well.
I think this is probably definitely a 2-part because there's specifically how we're going to do it, and then there's the deep institutional commitment that is what AG's founded. For us, all of this is about lowering barriers to access, to advanced technologies, and to amazing careers. And so it's really always about opportunity. And to serve the underserved is one of the most, I think, exciting elements of these technologies and what they can do. So part of that is about bringing hands-on experience and education, as well as the food itself, into, let's say, for example, urban food deserts. But the other thing I would say about that is that despite all of the other things being talked about in threats to agriculture right now, super weeds that, are immune to any pesticide, and, bad weather, and, you name it, one of the greatest threats is a loss of an entire generation in agriculture, in the younger generation. And if we don't find ways to re-engage and enlist all talent, that's our biggest, arguably our biggest problem in agriculture. So it's also extremely important.
Yeah, I would say, the part of our commitment as the university to provide access for a diverse community of learners, those exact words are in the mission statement for the university, right, is the careful selection of the location. It could have been, this whole project could have been located in a suburb somewhere. It could have been located outside the center city. It would have probably made things much easier. I'm looking at you, Eric Menzer. But we didn't, because we wanted to provide access. We wanted to provide opportunity. We wanted to provide the ability to engage every segment of the community here in York. And I appreciate that question.
There's a few things that stood out to me about our program today. First, it's great to have such a synergistic neighbor relationship with Harrisburg University. That seems to be a little rare these days, and it's nice to see that we can cross the river and work together. Second, this project is remarkably innovative, useful, and frankly, absolutely fascinating. But what's most important to me is that you are making York City a leader in what could be an agricultural revolution, while helping to serve our community with bright minds and hard workers. It certainly aligns with our club's mission in several ways, and I express on behalf of our club the greatest wishes for your success. Let's give them another round of applause. In honor of today's program, they have signed the book Platelet in May Among the Stars by Rhoda and it will be donated to the Crispus Attucks York Learning Center, along with the bookmark made by the students at Creative York. Speaking of York City, next week's program, we will have York City Mayor Michael Helfrich in his annual address to our club. He will give us an update on the progress that is being made in York City, the challenges facing the city, and what he hopes to accomplish during the remaining time of his administration. Having said that, have an amazing Rotarian week. This meeting is adjourned.